Hello, my dear folks. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Xiao on the East-West Show with G&E TV with a lots of pride. Today we're talking about, once again, President Donald Trump. Yet, it is getting spicier with the last week, almost a whole week, starting Tuesday, when he declared the dismissal, removal of FBI Director Mr. James Comey, right? And James Comey at that time thought that he was joking. He was joking about. Well, anyway, he flew to D.C. right away in the afternoon to make sure what exactly happened. Sure enough, it did happen, and he was fired. He was dismissed. Sorry for that. It's additional time anyway. Okay, now, today with me is my good friend, Ken Hemming. Ken is the backbone of the community, and lots of time I rely upon him to get the first-hand information. And in spite of the fact that I argue with him all the time, I really cherish the friendship and cherish his devotion to U.S. politics, his devotion to the protection of the community. So Ken, welcome to the show.
And Jack, you know how much I love to be here, and trust me, my heart sees your viewers through that camera, and I'm in your living room.
Very good, very good. And I hope you do not disturb them.
Yeah, that's true. I hope I do, yeah.
Give them
I hope your day's okay.
Give them some kind of nightmare, though.
Exactly.
And sometimes at the show, you do give me nightmares.
That's true.
Okay. And I'm ready for today's nightmare.
I am.
So, and the first question, which is the big question, or the broader sense question, how do you feel about the decision or the news of the dismissal, please?
Well, when James Comey spent 13 minutes discussing and highlighting the many illegal activities, improper activities of Hillary Clinton, and then in the last minute said he would not want to press any charges, I thought he should be fired right then, and many people did. And also, when he said that he would not, he said no prosecutor should prosecute this case, the FBI is a unit that is supposed to investigate and then present their findings to the Department of Justice that does prosecution when appropriate. So he stepped out of his role as an investigator and stuck his personality in front of everybody in America in making a decision that he's not authorized to do. So from that point on, I thought he did not belong in the FBI.
In other words, his dismissal was a delayed action, which is supposed to be taken several months ago when he was making that declaration that he will drop all the charges.
Yes, I mean, I would have dismissed him right then because there was no logic behind the flow of his conversation on her activities and then his conclusion.
In other words, there is nothing related with his other investigations for his dismissal.
Well, and then when he stated, Jack, that in his opinion, Hillary had no intent to do wrong, intent doesn't matter. If I run over a kid at a 6-year-old at school by accident, I could be in real big trouble. So intent is not in the law. If you do the crime, you do the time, and the crimes were done, and intent is not a defense.
That I understood. When Michael Jackson's doctor prescribed him, he did not have intention to kill him.
Right.
As a result of wrong use or overdose or whatever, and he still bears the consequences.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's exactly a beautiful point.
That is understood, very understood. What makes it too long for Donald Trump to kind of adopt a simplest resolution or whatever to fire him on the spot instead of them do it now?
Well, see, like many of the Democrats, many, all the leaders wanted him fired and dismissed because when about 11 days before the election, he said, we're looking into more emails that we found. So they all wanted him fired then. And so probably, but see, no matter when President Trump would dismiss Comey, they would find a fault with timing. It didn't matter when he does. So if it was 2 weeks from now, if it was on January 20th after he was inaugurated, they would come up with a scenario of conspiracy.
Let's look different perspectives. Let's stop talking about should or should have.
There's no correct time.
Or would have, right? Let's talk about whatever happened.
That's
right?
fine.
Whatever happened, right?
Yeah.
So now, was it a fact or was it not a fact that right after declaration of announcement of stopping prosecuting Hillary Clinton, he went on engaging himself in other investigations?
Well, he's the head of the FBI, so he's in charge of hundreds and hundreds of investigations. Yes.
And did he conduct investigation on the subject of the clearance of Donald Trump's connection with Russia?
Well, he doesn't sit there doing the investigating. He has 20,000 employees, and so there's all these subcommittees.
Did he give orders or instructions to do so? And was the FBI engaged in another investigation of Donald Trump's connection with Russia, in other words, with Vladimir Putin?
Well, number one, Comey has told President Trump that President Trump is not under investigation. They were investigating. The Russians have interfered to the best of their ability for 50 years in elections all over the world. This is not a new. This is not a new game. This is not a new gig.
Yeah.
So
Russians, they engage themselves in interference of other countries' politics. That's a norm. That's quite a norm.
That's a norm.
That doesn't surprise anybody. But what does surprise me to learn something, there could be a possible connection with the administration with Russia, between Russia and administration. That surprised me a lot. That is the interest of all the fellow Americans.
It's a totally,
to find out, was that true or was that not true?
They've been investigating it since last July or before. They have found zero proof, zero evidence of any connection.
Was there a conclusion? Was there a conclusion after quote unquote investigation, subject to the connection of the administration of Donald Trump to the Russian government?
Well, I mean, some people make a conclusion. Some people, the Democrats want to continue it until the 2020 election. They're going to cry about this. Now, let us remind you.
When there was no conclusion, did it mean that there was no conclusion yet, no finding yet? Did it mean that the investigation is still being conducted?
Oh yeah, well the FBI investigation's going on. They don't care who the director is. Their people have their jobs to do as employees. And let me remind your viewers and yourself, Jack, that we spent over $300,000 of our taxpayer money when Obama tried to interfere with the Israeli election, and also that Obama went over to England and recommended that they stay in the European Union, and so he did all of these things, which is the same thing as Putin.
I say this.
Well, they're true.
I say this to instruct you and myself as well. Never be too naive, because the interferences, country-to-country interference, is all over.
That's what I said.
It's all over.
That's why I
there is
reminded
no
us.
country getting no interferences, no other countries, which is quite a norm, a fact.
Yeah.
Right?
So this thing is.
I'm talking about the connection. Connection is different word.
There is no connection.
You're a
Jack.
master of words.
There's no
right?
connection.
You're a master of words.
No connection has been.
I'm talking about if there is a connection.
The crime.
If you say there's no connection, and people
no connection that has been evidenced with all.
Okay,
that's true.
I just want to play fair, right?
I'm fair.
You may say there's no connection, and people
with
may
evidence.
have their
None.
Can you let me finish a sentence without being interrupted?
Okay.
And then I'll wait for you to do your sentence.
Deal.
All right, deal. All right. Let's shake hands on that.
Deal, mate.
So starting next segment, you always let me finish a sentence, will I?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Today, once again, my dear friend, I'm arguing with my dear friend, dear brother, Ken Hemming, and even sometimes getting mad with him is lots of fun. I like that. We're doing the real American politics.
And it's also real information
we're discussing, we're arguing, we're kind of disagreeing upon each other, and then probably we'll find a solution, right? So stay with us. We'll be right back on the Donald Trump issue of firing the FBI director. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear fellow Americans, my dear lovely audiences. Welcome back to the discussion about President Donald Trump firing FBI Director James Comey. Mr. Comey, of course, has a lot to say, but at this moment we haven't heard from him yet. There's quite a big storm going on, which later on into the show we'll talk about. Now, at the first page, while lifting the first layer, we found lots of discrepancies and controversies on this issue. With my friend Ken Hemming, we are trying to determine that the time when Mr. Comey declared or announced that the FBI agency will stop further prosecutions over the Hillary Clinton email investigation or charges. People say that the FBI agency went on another investigation towards Donald Trump's connection with Russia during the election.
Alleged.
Which people...
Okay, alleged connection, yeah.
Come on.
Okay.
All right, please, let me finish my sentence. All right, thank you very much. The alleged... no, and it is just a suspicion. There is no the word alleged to talk about because nobody has prosecuted Donald Trump, anybody of that kind, right? Now, and all of a sudden, when we hear the dismissal, the dismissal of Donald Trump, of James Comey, we found out that it is quite strange by the timing. First question, as Ken Hemming mentioned, that he should have fired him about a month ago at the time of stopping the prosecutions. Right. Okay, and your comment about my question just now, talking about lots of people say there was connection, a lot of people say there was no connection. Then it is always by politics and by rule. It is always a call for investigation, right? And then, do you believe or did you believe that it was an investigation there?
You know, there's 5 investigations going on right now, and the Democrats want some other more, investigation. And there's been no evidence in almost a year that's been developed to show any connection. The crime that was done, Jack, is when the Flynn was unmasked as having a proper and legal and ethical conversation with the Russian, the ambassador. And that was, that's an illegal, that's a felony to unmask and release to the public the names of Americans in these, unless there is a collective decision that national security is threatened. So that's where the crime is. So right now, I think all of this has to do with trying to cover up the tremendous progress America is making in getting our economy back, strengthening our relations with other countries. Merkel of Germany is starting to now increase their spending to come up to the 2% of their gross national product for NATO.
We have plenty of time.
China and America are doing great.
We have plenty of time later to talk about those issues.
Yeah.
Those positive issues. There are lots of them, all right?
Great things are
now
happening.
we are not on it yet.
Okay.
We are on the unfortunate issue about Donald Trump firing somebody, which is very questionable.
It's not questionable.
And just now I found out that you confuse yourself between Mr. Comey, James Comey, and Michael Flynn. That's a different story. That's a different story. If there is connection, there could be connection that we can talk about in the next segment. But right now, focusing on James Comey, right? For James Comey, what do you think exactly was fired? Just because he didn't do things right at Hillary Clinton's investigation?
No. I think he was fired because he was essentially incompetent for the job, and he sought the spotlight as a star. That is not the job of a person to run a bureaucracy in our government. Those guys, the best managers we have in either a cabinet or in FBI, Department of Justice, whatever, are those that are low key and just get the job done. And he has inserted himself with his name and personality, and he's a 6'8" tall, handsome guy with a strong personality. He's inserted himself into an arena in America that he doesn't belong in, and that's why he's out of it now.
Okay, very good. And okay, now, at the time when, okay, let's pick up a Michael Flynn, right? Well, when Michael Flynn, of course, different story. He resigned, right?
Or fired by.
Or fired,
yeah.
or
both, you know.
Or both, because he smelled about the dismissal, and he just went ahead and designed himself. I mean, declined.
He says, yeah.
Resigned himself.
He did not tell the full truth to the Vice President of the United States.
Okay. Well, was there anybody just approached President Donald Trump that, number one, you used the wrong person, and number two, later when they say, when they see something wrong, they say, hey, you should have this guy fired. Any advisor would have done the job, rather than President Donald Trump acting on his own. He's like a lone wolf himself.
I'm not sure the question.
I'm talking about, could there be anybody on the board,
yes,
on the advisory board, like my friend James Lee, who is my next guest,
yes,
and used to be on the board of President Bush, George H. Bush and H.W. Bush, right? You always have advisors on the board.
Right.
Okay, was there anybody advising him, say, hey, dear President, you should have this guy gone. You should fire him.
Yes.
First place, you should not have hired him.
Well, he didn't. Obama hired him. Okay, so Trump had nothing to do with that. He's an Obama appointee.
No, you mean Flynn?
Oh yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, Flynn,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I was being included, so I apologize.
Yes, okay.
But Rob Robenstein, who's a deputy director of the FBI, who was confirmed just 2 to 3 weeks ago, did write a letter indicating that he thought that Director Comey was not effectively doing his job and had stepped beyond the bounds. But the director of the FBI serves at the pleasure and the will of the President of the United States. And if he didn't like his looks or the color of his socks and he wants to terminate them, I've been employees where I'm an employee at the will of the employer. And if I didn't brush my teeth once and he wants to fire me, I'm fired, and there's no recourse to that. So he serves at the will, and President Trump definitely is the one that made the decision.
So when advisors say that Mr. Comey is not doing his job right, did he refer to the fact that over Hillary Clinton's case, or any other investigations he was engaged with?
In the letter, I think it was a 3-page letter, he didn't go into details of what his position was based on. Also, I will say,
what would you think that he would be based upon himself?
Knowledge and observation of Comey over Rubenstein's been there for like 23 years with the FBI. So he's an insider, he knows it. And then Jeff Sessions, the Department of Justice, agreed with the assessment of Rubenstein.
Right, okay. Now it looks that this morning I heard over the news that, of course, you're not talking about a dead wall. You're talking about rebounces. Okay,
Sure.
Director FBI is not a nobody guy.
No,
He's not a nobody guy.
big position.
He's got a big position. He's
Big
got lots of resources
Power.
behind him, under him, and them. So we probably have to face another fact. The fact is, well, we worry about Donald Trump. I really worry about Donald Trump. So how about we take a little break here, and we continue to pick up this section, this part,
Yes,
next
sir.
segment. Okay.
Good.
Very good. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the show, talking about FBI director being dismissed, being fired by Donald Trump. And we were at the point of finishing Michael Flynn, and then we are moving on to the nature of FBI. With me today is my good friend Ken Hemming, who I disagree with sometimes, but we are very close friends. After the disagreement, we still shake hands, we drink lots of beer, especially on Friday. And after beer, we continue to disagree, though that's kind of
it's the rhythm.
Yeah, rhythm. Anyway, so welcome again to the discussion, to the show. Okay, talking about the FBI, though, to your knowledge, to your understand, is FBI an independent structure of the United States or a instrument of a president?
No, not of the president. I think it's a sub-part of the Department of Justice. It's a separate entity, but it still reports to the Department of Justice, the Attorney General. And so it's, you know, it's a hallowed organization. I mean, I used to say, God, I wish I could have been an FBI agent or something, because, you know, you need a really good brain to do that, and you also need to be able to know how to protect yourself in our country, you know, physically and in all ways, because, you know, they get in serious actions. And so I love them. And then when I see it being tarnished by political elements, such as I think what Comey did. Now, I don't think Comey's a bad guy, but I think he was not very bright in handling his responsibilities and understanding the limitations to his responsibilities. So I'm glad he's gone. He'll pass into the, you know, into history and get another good job in some other government organization. But now the new acting Attorney General McCabe is, I believe his tenure will be short. There's a list of people that President Trump is considering for the job. I have no preference as to who would get the job. I just wanted somebody very intelligent, very understanding of his limitations, and very committed to enforcing the law. We all need to have our laws enforced. If I do something wrong, I guarantee if I had a private server in my basement, I'd be in jail. And Hillary was able to do that and stay out of jail so far. I think the investigation will probably be reopened.
All right. Okay. Let's hope so. Okay. How about that?
I hope so.
Okay. Now, it is quite confusing that we have a department of organization or structure of FBI under the DOJ Department of Justice.
Because
right?
it does the
And
investigation.
together, DOJ belongs to the to our judicial branch.
Yes, sir.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, right now, and we have a president who hires or fires a director of FBI, right?
Yeah.
And the president belongs to what
people.
branch?
The people.
What branch?
The executive branch.
Executive branch.
Right.
Now, we're talking about executive branch intrudes the justice branch, the judicial branch.
Okay.
Am I right?
Okay.
Okay, by firing the guy like that. It is I need education. Please teach me. All right? And I need you to shed light on this issue. And we have one from the executive office fire somebody under the DOJ, which is under the judicial system, judicial branch.
Well, the FBI director does report and serve at the will of the president. That is
At the will of the president.
Yes.
Okay.
See, here's one of the greatest problems we have in this beautiful country. For example, the Department of Veterans Affairs. It is almost impossible. This is so tragic and sad to fire government employees, okay? Because they are so entwined in their unions and in all the negotiations. You can be, and it's so much work to fire incompetence that people just let them sit there and play canasta all day. That's literally the truth, you know. And as a matter of fact, they've had studies about how many hours a day certain government employees watch porn, okay, sitting at their desk.
And play solitaire.
And this is so sad because, look, in my whole life, I've been susceptible to being fired if I did something bad. Fortunately, I've been a pretty good performer, okay? But you can't, it's so hard to drain the swamp of the incompetent that it's a tragedy. And Trump is trying to do that now. He is making it possible to fire people in the Veterans Administration. There was 113 people, veterans that died, were in line for treatment since Trump was inaugurated, that has not still, and they're dead now because they couldn't get treatment on a timely basis.
In other words, the
It's real
U.S.
sad.
Department of Justice, I mean the FBI, is only a service to the president, right?
Well, they're the judicial branch. Pardon me. They're the investigative branch of the Department of Justice. That is the prosecutorial function. So they prosecute if they deem it necessary and proper.
Okay.
And
Without the investigation, finding evidence
Right.
for prosecution,
Right.
who do you want to prosecute?
Well, that's right.
Right.
That's why we need the FBI.
It goes. End of the day, you're talking about FBI.
Yeah.
And FBI, investigation. The investigation, yet was under the dismissal of the president.
One of the highlights of my little life is when I played Babe Ruth baseball, okay? The coach of our team was an FBI agent, and he was in charge of all bank robberies around Southern California. He'd come here, get to the game in his suit and everything, and packing a pistol, and he was coaching well armed, so we were always pretty safe.
I know.
But I respected him so much.
I know. But I'm sad.
They're my heroes.
I'm sad with the fact that without the FBI finding evidences of investigation, there is no prosecutions.
Well, we also have, we have police, we have different elements of law enforcement in America, some of which are being ignored right now.
I take it out of that answer without arguing.
Yeah, sure.
Now that you're not in a very high mood, so I could let you go easy.
I'm a high mood on my respect for the agents. The leadership of the FBI has been troubling.
All right, good. Now we need another person, a replacement for it's gone already.
Right.
To fill the blank. We need somebody to fill the blank.
Right.
Am I right?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
very
And
good.
they're working on that. He's interviewing people right now, the president. He's talking to them, and it's pretty hard.
Who do you think the next one would be? Any preference?
No idea. Well, I do love Trey Gowdy because he's so brilliant and he's so articulate and he's so committed to the laws of America. And Justice Gorsuch, who just got on our Supreme Court, one of his statements just moves my soul every time I think about it. I think of it every day. He says, "My only client is the law." That's what we want.
Okay, very good. But something Trump did recently that gets a lot of my agreement. All right. At least the way he handled his relationship, U.S. relationship with China, that goes quite so well. That this morning I heard from the news that they're going to do some beef export, U.S. beef
Well,
to China,
right,
and also natural gas export to
right,
China.
right.
All right, good. Let's talk about it.
It's
Let's
so
talk about something positive, something good.
Someone was saying that I listened to this morning that normally it was Wilbur Ross, as a matter of fact, okay, who's a cabinet, that said normally any agreement between America and China will take 3 or 4 years of discussion. Well, Trump's been in there 115 days. No,
Yeah,
he's
sure,
been in there,
sure, yeah,
and
okay.
they're already agreeing on this,
It's already
which will
shaking
help
hands.
shrink our deficit,
All right, good,
trade
good.
deficit with China. In
Okay,
China,
very good.
look, I think China and America are going
Sure,
to get
all
along
right.
better than ever.
Shall we take a short break and come back for this
Sure.
to make you feel happy?
Well, no, I just love the fact that our relationship is getting closer with
I
China.
just realized that you're not in a very high mood, and then we need to cheer you up.
I'm always happy.
Okay, very good. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the discussion about our President Donald Trump, talking about the firing of FBI Director James Comey. With James Comey gone, we have a blank, another blank, one more blank, important blank to be filled with.
Yeah.
May God bless America. May God bless FBI. May God bless all Americans. See, we get a right one who can stay there, who is not competent, who can do the job, who is not to be fired, whatever. Now,
Right.
Speaking of Donald Trump, as our president, there is always a philosophy to follow. There are two coins, right? Two sides of a coin. Now, and the big side, the good side is that we hear lots of good news internationally, especially with China. And the last month, I believe, it's been probably exactly here last month, the first week or second week of last month, he dealt his meeting with the president of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, quite well.
That was great.
Right. And we thought it takes about a month or even not years to get something worked out,
Some
because
action.
when these two hands are kind of together, you're always talking about a long time in waiting to see anything happen downstream, right? Now,
That's
within
true.
a month, something happening.
Yes.
This morning, I heard from the news, that's good ones, about the beef, about natural gas, and some other areas. And your comment, please?
Yeah, and one of the things, I'm not sure if I know what I'm saying or not, but one of the deals is with the natural gas then being able to be exported into China more, which replaces some of the uses of coal that they've been getting from North Korea. So, because China is now not accepting the coal exports of North Korea into China, which is very helpful to try to get the North Korea to stop their nuclear ambitions. And then this fills part of the gap. And so that sounds like a nice win-win right now. But I'm not an expert on this comment, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I heard the same comment too, because China buys a lot of coal from them.
They
right?
used to.
And they need the money from China to
Right.
do what they wanted to do.
Right.
Right. And then talking about sanction, though, you're asking China not to give that money too, but China needs the coal, right? And then
they
when
need the energy.
the energy.
Right.
The natural gas comes in to replace it. There is no longer such a need.
Right.
Okay, we no more need any of your coal.
Yeah.
So that could be a right way, like you say, win-win-win.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping and praying
Situation.
for. And then
Right.
the one comment I just want to share, because it's brand new to reality on the news, is there was an American airplane flying over the Baltic Sea, I guess it was, Baltic or Black Sea, and a Russian fighter armed with air missiles came within 20 feet of our airplane.
When was that?
It was within a few days, and then it was kind of quiet. Now it's coming out. It was a big story this morning, and the whole thing, this thing about Russia and Trump, whatever, they are not sweethearts.
No.
Okay.
No,
So,
don't get back. Don't come back. Yeah.
No,
Let's
but
talk
I'm
about
saying, but
the
they
trade
with
and
20
economy.
feet within 20
Yeah,
feet
I
of
know.
our plane, at several hundred miles an hour, because these are jets.
I know.
So it's a big story that's going to. You're all going to see it later today and tonight.
Okay.
And in the
Let's see.
near
Let's see.
future.
Let's see. Okay. Now let's stay with the U.S.-China trade.
Right.
And you think the beef deal is a big deal, right?
I don't know enough about that one, but anything that that can reduce our trade deficit with China is a big deal.
The
It's a
beef
big
deal is a big deal.
Yeah.
China used to import a lot of U.S. beef and beef-related products.
Okay. Yeah.
Including some other products. There's one that Chinese like to eat a lot, which is, you know the term omasum?
No.
Omasum
Yeah.
is the beef stomach.
Okay.
The 1, 2, 3, probably the fourth.
Okay.
The fourth stomach,
Okay.
omasum. It's a Japanese term.
Thank you.
OMA something, omasum. Okay. China buys a lot. And the U.S. produces the best beef with the best accessories.
Yes, sir.
Accessory
The
supplies.
accessories, right? Yeah.
Accessory supplies. So they stopped for some kind of like misunderstanding reason or sanction reason or mutual sanction reason over the clouds of currency manipulation or so on and so forth issue, which are all lifted now, and then the trade starts.
So that's good. It's a bigger issue than I was aware
Oh man, you never imagine.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah. When 1 trillion 300 million Chinese started eating U.S. beef.
Beautiful.
You're talking
Look,
about biggest market of the global earth.
It's an honor of mine if America is helping to feed some Chinese. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
That's
of course.
beautiful.
Of course, yeah, of course. We
Yeah.
need that.
We need it.
Yeah.
And they need
And
it.
back then, they like China, they like American beef a lot. You never know how hamburgers are easy selling in China.
I don't.
Oh, they fly with all kinds of varieties.
Yeah.
Okay, all across the country, any town, if it has 2,000 people, you have a McDonald's there.
You and I should have opened the first McDonald's in Beijing.
We should have done that.
We should have done that.
Right, good, very
But
good.
we'd miss our
All right.
viewers.
And we can go to, say, Lhasa,
Yeah.
Tibet. We can do
Right,
that.
we
Oh,
could.
probably they have it already. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway, so you can imagine how big that is.
Yeah.
You mentioned
This
about
is
trade
big.
deficit,
Yeah.
right? We have a $374 billion dollars
That's big.
of a trade deficit. That's a
Yeah,
big number.
That's a big number.
Okay.
Biggest, widest gap of any two countries in
But-
planet Earth.
But as soon as you have the export of U.S. beef and U.S. natural gas to China, I would say within a year or two, this gap will be
The more interconnected,
will be filled in.
the more interconnected we are in lifestyle with China, both countries benefit immeasurably.
Yeah,
Let's interconnect.
yeah, of course. And also the current week. Oh, we're talking about on the 14th and the 15th. Okay, the Belt and the Road Summit discussion. Remember last
Yes,
time
sir.
we were talking
Oh, boy.
about?
Yeah.
Is going to be held in Beijing.
One belt, one road.
Yeah, one belt, one road, and more
It's
than
huge.
leaders of more than 20 countries would go there.
Isn't that May 14 and
Yeah.
15? I mean,
Yeah,
it's coming
14,
up.
15, talking about you connect the Silk Road
Yeah, like the
up
spider web.
north
Yeah,
all the way to Western Europe.
yeah.
That was created 2,000 more years ago,
Yes, sir.
and then later followed by the other route, which is cross Asia all the way going to South Water to Indian Ocean, to the west end of the Indian Ocean, and the east end to the South Asian water.
Yes.
And now with the Belt and the Road, it connects. They're talking about close it as like a ring.
Yeah.
Do you think U.S. should get involved into the ring?
Well, when we did a show on this, one of the things that China was considering was a high-speed railroad in California, HSR. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
And now, I don't know. I don't know what involvement works as well as for us as for the other.
China is
actors.
willing to give up the to sell the technology, including the car itself
Yeah, one of the
and
issues,
the building thing.
One of the issues we talked about is China likes to provide the people also to do the work on their one belt, one road
If necessary,
activities.
if necessary.
Yeah. Well, there's been over
They
a
will do
million
that.
people that have gone to Africa
They will do
to
that.
work on these
And
projects.
the Chinese high-speed rate, the HSR,
Yeah.
would
Good.
go cover all those nations along the rain.
Yeah.
Okay, of course, including China, including California.
Yeah.
When we do need one, China can do it.
Yeah.
And there was one time, like last year, probably the same time, there was a talk about it. Yet they later on canceled it because you're talking about straight lines, right?
Now, if we do some things that China invests on, like a railroad here, that's fine, but I want Americans to do the work. And I think you said
No
on
problem,
a show
no
before,
problem.
yeah, well,
problem.
China already built railroads here
No,
before.
no problem, no
Yeah,
problem.
and built them well.
Unless U.S. can do the high flyovers
Right.
with the which goes up in the air.
Harder, yeah, very hard.
Otherwise, you're talking about
Yes,
zigzag.
curl.
Curl, zigzagging, and you can never talking about high speed.
Right.
So
Right.
that is the obstacle that's holding. Other than that, we should have a Chinese-built or Chinese-funded
Sure.
high-speed rail system already.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
California has something going on, and so far it's failing very bad.
Oh,
high
yeah,
speed, yeah, it's
of
failing
course, of
and,
course,
and
yeah.
costing us money that we
Okay,
don't have.
very good. Okay, all right. With the let's see, with the Chinese railroad system in California, with American beef in China,
Yes,
with American natural gas in China,
right.
and that stops the nuclear push of North Korea.
Right, right.
Well,
That's
no.
what we're hoping for.
Yeah, of course, we'll hope
need
for
it.
that, right?
We need
so
it,
that
desperately.
everything works positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Another word in the confirmation, we can say that Donald Trump internationally in handling the relationship, of course, the biggest relationship between China and the United States, he's doing a good job, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. There's mutual respect, and both the chairman and Trump said they felt good chemistry.
Okay, very good.
That's what it's about.
Oh,
just like
chemistry is the
chemistry,
word.
it's
Okay,
everything.
very good. Okay. All right, today with my friend Ken Hemming, we started with the firing of a director of FBI, all the way to U.S.-China relationship, all the way to the One Belt, One Road,
Right.
the Asian development policy created by China, which we believe that U.S. can get involved. As a matter of fact, U.S. is involved with our beef,
Right. That's right.
with our natural gas, and with high-speed rail.
Yeah.
Right. So
The closer we are, the better the world
anyway.
is.
Yeah. The closer we are, the better the world. So
Right.
that's the conclusion.
That's
Thank
what
you.
we love.
I like that term. All right. So we'll see you next time, please. Thank you very much, my dear audience, and to my dear friend
Thank you,
Ken.
my
Thank
friend.
you very much.
And thanks for letting us visit you.
Thank you.